Let's go. Ho, ho, ho. Exactly. Ta-da. Okay. So yeah, same as usual. I like to uh, do a lot of small releases, like cut my work into very little pieces and then release very often. And I feel it's time to do a video and talk before I start working and releasing the big next feature in kindaVim, which is going to be the custom mapping. I want to talk about Scrolla and Wooshy, like me adding the custom mapping in those apps, and also like what is the current status and what I feel is still needs to be done. So kind of the future of the apps. At least Scrolla, Wooshy, I'm not sure yet if there's some things that I want to do in the future. There were like some things I've thought about, but like for example, stop stealing like focus, but I've like built a prototype and I tried to use it and the UX wasn't good. So I think I'm not going to, that would be like, I'm not going to implement that. That would be for stuff like the shit new Apple thing. Would it be stuff like this? Yeah. When you start Wooshy, it like those pop-up disappear. Apple tells developers not to do this, to use stuff that you can go through the keyboard, and like so you can use the keyboard to navigate, and that shouldn't disappear. But Apple themselves, they just like that shit, for example, they do stuff that they tell you not to do. So, and that's getting worse and worse. So anyway, I built a version of Wooshy that can target those things, but ultimately it's bringing a lot of other troubles. So I don't think that's going to happen. But yes, what I want to talk about. So recently, how recent though? I feel it's like last week, but probably okay, 2 weeks ago. So you had this release of Wooshy, no, of Scrolla, sorry, that integrates with Karabiner. And let me check so this is here, the custom mapping. There's this new part that allows you to basically remap keys to whatever you want to do. So like the keys by default are those ones, right? Like the tab or down, the control N, blah, 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 blah. So I guess people know. If you use kindaVim, you can use like Vim motions. And scrolling, what about scrolling? Yes, there's a little bit of Vim also here to the top. Yes, true. So this is like to scroll. This one with kindaVim, you could choose your scroll area. And there was at least two requests. I think there were. So there was a request about, yes, feature use. So this one and choose, what is that? There was something about the default keys. Yes, here. So the idea was to be able to basically remap the keys and not use the ones that comes by default, which is fair. But it's also like a lot of work. Or it was a lot of work. I'll tell you a bit about the history. And something, so sorry, how to pronounce. I'm sorry, Patrick. So yeah, he wanted uppercase J and K to move through the different scrolling areas. So for example, that would be, if I can show, that's going to be a bit slow because there's a lot to load. Can I spread this even more? Okay, so maybe did because I want to. Oh, Scrolla is not running. No, it is. It's Xcode. So that happened when you launch Xcode. Basically, all the apps that, I mean, there's a bunch of apps that end up being like super slow, mine included, and Alfred would be one of it. It's a bit strange, but that's the thing with so what I was talking about, the scrolling area. Currently there's two, so you can switch from one to the other with like Tab and Control N and Control P. And Patrick wanted to use uppercase J and K. So I did it like behind the scenes, but that was the plan. Was of course like I'm not gonna do custom things for like everyone requesting. So the plan was at the later stage to add like custom mapping. So now it's the case. So now this doesn't work. J and K doesn't work anymore out of the box. They don't work anymore out of the box. And so what you have to do now is do your own custom mapping with Karabiner. So this is the integration. You just have to click this. And when you do this, what happens is that Scrolla is going to push some data to Karabiner. So you're gonna see something called here SL status, and currently it's like disengaged here. And when you activate Scrolla, it gets engaged. And thanks to this, you can create your own what Karabiner calls the complex modifications, which are not really complex. And like you have an example here. So like Scrolla, you can just copy this and paste it inside Karabiner. And the new, I don't know when this started, but now Karabiner is quite nice. Rather than having like your big JSON, you can just create. Okay, so like I'm gonna remove that one and show you even this one. You add your own rule, you paste the thing, and what it does is like, yeah, when the SL status is engaged, replace Shift J by Tab. And that's it. And now we can go back to Xcode, and like you're not gonna see that, but I'm pressing uppercase J here. So basically you can remap any key you want to what you saw earlier, like here, like all of those. If you want to go to the last by using uppercase J, then you can. So you wouldn't even need, actually you wouldn't even need in that case even KV, you can do it directly. Yeah, and so that has been released 2 weeks ago. And for the story, so I've been working on kindaVim. So I started kindaVim in exploring the macOS APIs in 2020, and then 2022 is when I think is when I released the first alpha or the first paid, I forgot, version. And I think that was in March 2022. And the more I was using KV, the more I realized that, okay, I need something to reach UI elements. So kindaVim works nicely when once, for example, you're here, right, in some UI element. But so it works well here, but you have to reach it first. So like if for example you load the page, then you would have to like go down and click on that thing. So that's why by June I started creating, or I released Wooshy. I think I started creating in June 2022 to be able to reach. So like, okay, I want to go to that thing here. But especially for the web, so native apps were kind of okay, but for the web, I had to, like, first of all, like here, oh, okay, I need to scroll down. So then I created Scrolla, which allowed me to just, go scroll wherever I want to go. So why am I saying this? I don't remember. Oh, the history. So yeah, for the past 5 years, it's been like basically just a pleasure to build a thing. I never felt it was like work, not once. And also there's a big reason for this is because I don't want to work. So if I feel that I'm doing something that is not really something I need for myself, I get like super not motivated. And I started, so I don't need the custom mapping for myself, but I also felt like for the life of the apps, that was like the next stage. So I was able to kind of trick myself into thinking that I was doing that for myself also. And I started developing the custom mapping for Scrolla natively. And it took about 4 months. So it was this year from January to April. And it was probably the most depressing time I've been, not just working on the apps, but like even in general. It's just like totally horrible. I had to make a lot of choices that were like not nice, and had to I had a goal which wasn't like really, it's just like custom mapping, and you can do sequences and stuff. And the more I work, the more it's like just a fucking headache. And I ended up doing something natively that wouldn't even handle the sequences. And then the last bit I had to do was to load users config from a config file. And same, like there are so many cases that you need to take care of and like tests that you have to. It's just a fucking nightmare. And then thanks to someone, to Janice, I hope I pronounce Janice, sorry if I pronounce wrongly, we started looking at integration with Karabiner, because Karabiner is basically doing exactly this, custom mapping, and it's like tested. It's been it handles like so many cases. Like even the one I developed natively didn't take care of like you didn't have any option regarding which frontmost application you're on, what kind of keyboard or input source you're using, and Karabiner takes care of all of this. So ultimately what I did is I removed everything I did during those 4 months, and I just built the integration with Karabiner, and this just works fantastically. So that's for the history, and that's definitely what there's not going to be native custom mapping, whether it is for like Scrolla, Wooshy, or kindaVim. Everything is going to go through Karabiner. So that's this bit for the story. Let me check if there's something else I want to show you here. Wait, a modification. Oops. Scroll maybe to, yeah, there's a bunch of things that so for this you need to check Karabiner's is it conditions? Like you can, exactly, you can, if you want to add, you can exactly, like on which you could say this is remapped only when you're on Safari. or unless you're in Safari, or if you plug the Apple keyboard, or if you're using the US or French input source. So like this is like super powerful. So that has been added to Scrolla 2 weeks ago. Then I've released the same thing for Wooshy. So 5 days ago, it seems. And it's the same thing. So you're gonna have the mapping spot here, and then you're gonna have the new docs, Wooshy, custom mapping. And in that case, can we copy as Karabiner complex modification, and can we add your save? And that one is gonna be, so map uppercase G to last target. So let's say I'm here, and if I do uppercase G, then I'm on the last target here. Right. So I press. Okay, I'm gonna get out of Vim and like up. That's it. And because Wooshy's search is insensitive, case insensitive, so if you type element, right, it's gonna highlight the uppercase E. So you could remap all the uppercase letters to whatever you want, or like number, I don't know, you think. But probably all uppercases letter could be remapped to whatever you want to do with Wooshy. So like from the navigating, clicking, moving the mouse, whatever you want. Copying, but copying is Command C and like some of the modifiers, so maybe you don't want to. That wouldn't make sense to remap this, I think. So yeah, that's Wooshy, I think 37. Yeah. And yes, and it works the same. So let me show you again the variables. That's the one for Wooshy resting. So currently it's resting, and if you open it, it's active. Right. So that's how you can remap keys according to Wooshy's status. Now the next one, it's integrated. I forgot if it was on, but so the next one is I haven't done the settings yet. The work is done, but not the settings. And let's say that the proof of concept is done, and I really hope to release this Tuesday, this week. So for kindaVim is a little bit, it's not that it's more complex, but it's you're gonna see like more variables, and basically they kind of map to the map table of Vim, which means like for example, you're gonna have KV no remap that is going to, so the non-recursive, is going to match normal visual, and we don't have selector, and you have operator mode. So probably making no sense, but that's cool. So for example, this is something funny. Then up, you can see, okay, I'm in insert mode now. So everything is off. Enter normal mode. So the KV no remap is true, and so the normal no remap is true, and the no remap is true because the no remap is going to be true if it's operator or visual or blah blah blah. So now enter visual, and the KV and no remap is false, but the no remap is true, and the X no remap is true also. So you can, in Karabiner, you can you can basically remap keys. Oh, I should have had an example. So you can remap keys according to kindaVim's mode. If you're in normal, if you're in visual, if you're in operator, you can choose to do different things. And yeah, should we do something now? So I'm thinking, can we... and that's gonna be... Can we do something live, like... Let me think. I don't prepare all my stuff, so I'm not... I just want to dump my thoughts live. So what about if we do this? Like, let's take... What about if we take this? We create a new... and let's do... KV map Q to open tab in Safari. In KV, let's do KV. Let's do just for fun, like visual mode. So the condition would be if you're... Okay, let's save this first. So back to the viewer. Let's see variable, and it's going to be this one. So if this one is KV, if that variable is true, then we're going to remap Q, and we don't care about this, to T, command T. Okay, let's... Okay. Wait, so let's... If we're in visual mode... Did I put visual mode? Q. Okay, it doesn't work. Command T. So command T should create visual mode Q. Wait, doesn't work. Okay, visual mode to Q. If it's true... Oh, is it? Oh, wait, is it? Is that something like crazy like this? Hey. Yes, so that's... So what about in normal mode? If we're in normal mode, Q, it doesn't do anything. But if we're in visual mode, Q, it's going to create a new... And what about if we're in Xcode? So, yeah, and Q is going to do... Okay, so we only want this in Safari. Okay, Karabiner, and then we can add another so like Karabiner conditions. Yes, foremost if condition type. So it's gonna be unless. So not on unless. It's gonna be condition. So cool. It's just type. Unless, not if, and then if Safari. Okay, let's pray. Thoughts and prayers. We're in Safari. All right, creates a new tab. What about if we're in Xcode? Xcode, and I enter yes, and it does nothing. So that's it. That was all that was needed to create a custom mapping, especially for kindaVim's visual mode, especially for Safari. So I know like people are kind of bitching about Karabiner because he used to have to deal with that huge JSON file that was it was like, and I think so it was hard to see and then to understand like where you were in that big file, and then I think there was no validation, but now if you fuck up the thing, it's going to... Karabiner is going to tell you, and then all of those, it's dealing with the big file itself. It separates your stuff in different like very well defined rules, so that's pretty nice. And if you don't, I need to think about this. If you don't, I need to think about this for the documentation. If you don't want to deal with the JSON itself, you can use stuff like Goku, which personally I found like kind of hard to. I know it seems to be the most popular, but I find it kind of hard to read. So like rather than typing JSON, you type this EDN format. But yeah, I think there's some examples somewhere. I kind of find this hard to read. The one I like is Karabiner TS that I saw when I was kind of researching this. That one is pretty nice, and they have an online editor, so you can you can write your stuff in TypeScript or JavaScript. So like you could do something like here. KV doesn't work here. It does? No, it doesn't. You could do map Q to shit. I forgot. I tried, but there's something with the variables to if var. Is it? Or if var is not a function. TS variables. It's not set variables. Is well, you're gonna have to check this yourself. I did try a thing when I started working on this, like before releasing Scrolla a couple of weeks ago. Is there any examples here? To var. No, it's not to var. It's something else. It's if var. So there is with condition. Maybe you have to add the with condition. But yeah, if you prefer using a generator, a JSON generator, rather than the JSON itself. Is there any tool? Does that work? Wow, that's quite nice. Anyways, so I think this will add. And I was like, yeah, I spent 4 months working on Scrolla, and it was like ridiculously bad and depressing. So I can't even imagine for like kindaVim. That would be crazy. And but yeah, thanks to Karabiner, that's about it. You're gonna be able to remap any keys that you want. So I think that's what I wanted to talk about. What's the future then? So the current ideas that I have, so at least I have things for, I think. Okay, that's like more personal stuff. I think I have stuff for. Okay, I have like big lists of things, but there's some stuff I need to review. I need to think. I need to blah 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 blah. I think mostly. Okay, let me start with Scrolla. So there's a few things that I currently don't like with Scrolla. One thing is so both are about the manual mode. So what Scrolla does is gonna detect your it's going to detect scrolling areas, right? but there's going to be so like the apps have to declare, they have to support the macOS accessibility properly, and all Electron apps and another like other custom stuff, they don't expose their data, so or like badly. So basically you can't detect those things. So Scrolla has a manual mode. Let's go back to here. Scrolla docs.scrolla. Manual is there now. Or is it scrolling? Choose your target. I think it's explained here. Yeah, manual. So let's say you're on a web page, right? And it detects only the thing, and actually you want to go on the left side. So you can manually move the cursor by using numbers, and then hopefully you're gonna end up in a place where you can like scroll the thing. So it's better than nothing, but it's still not like very, very good, I think. And one problem I have with this first is the fact that when you move the cursor, like, okay, maybe here it's kind of clear where it goes, but let's say if you're in light mode, I found like sometimes you don't really know where the cursor goes. So I want to make this like super obvious. When you move the cursor, you get some sort of UI thing that lets you know where it is. That's one thing. And the other thing, so like you can see here, like what about if I want to go here? Although it doesn't make sense. That makes sense if yes. So let's say I do that and then I press 1. Okay, 1 is still not in a good place. So maybe if I press 4, yeah, okay, 4 is in a good place. But what about if I need to be more precise? So currently what the manual mode does is it kind of guesses where your cursor should be, but sometimes it doesn't work very properly depending on the size of your screen and blah, blah, blah. So what I want to do is some sort of, I'm not sure yet how, like that you can position the cursor more precisely. So at first I was thinking like maybe because the screen is divided in 9 parts. So like 1 goes top left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm thinking maybe you press, let's say 1, and if you press another numbers, so like let's say you press 1 and it divide this part in 9, a grid of 9 squares, rectangles. And if you press fast enough, like let's say you press 1 and then you press 9, then it would go to the bottom right of that new thing. But then I'm thinking like you're gonna have to press in. It's gonna be very hard. The UX is not gonna be very nice. So maybe I'm thinking, maybe you press 1 and then you keep pressing 1 and it's kind of like juggling around. I don't really know how to, because that hasn't been a priority yet. But I think this is what needs to be done for us next. So that would be about it. Wooshy, there's one thing that I want to check that I think it's a pretty good idea. By my what is it, that one, which is like some sort of pop-up that would allow is there a good, yeah, so like some sort of pop-up that, because you can select the text now, right? Like you can press, you can like dismiss, right? And then okay, I need my keyboard in the right place. So I can Command C and then it copies that text. Or you can, let's say you press issues here and you do like Command Shift C and then you copy the link. But that pop-up would allow people to send the text to some other, I don't know, shortcuts, or like the Apple shortcuts thing, or like Apple Alfred, what is this universal action thing. So I think it's a good idea, but I try to do like pop-up stuff in Swift UI, and it's like a big fucking nightmare. So nothing works. So I don't know. I only need to check after macOS 26 comes, but Swift UI still feels like really bad to me. So and I don't want to do UI AppKit stuff because I've never developed with AppKit, and I don't want to learn stuff that are going to be deprecated and like I don't know if it's going to be soon, but should be. So let's see. That would be the thing for Wooshy. I'm sure I have like a lot of other things, but it's dark mode. Wooshy. That's for like the. Yeah, I have also a ton of stuff that I need to recheck. And then kindaVim. So once the custom mapping is released, the next big thing for kindaVim is going to be there's always daily stuff like talking to like answering people, tweak some moves, maybe some new moves and stuff, supporting new apps or checking out new apps, add them to the wizard. But the big next thing would be plugins. And the way it will work for sure, it's not going to be possible to allow people to develop their own plugins um, because for every move that kindaVim handles, there's a lot of like edge cases. Like, can we read the text? Can we write the text? If not, like what kind of? So we need to do key remapping. What kind of key remapping and stuff? There's absolutely no way that users are going to be able to deal with all those things. So the way it would work, it's going to be through I think pressure is going to be like through some yeah, you would just like check, switch on, like people would request plugin that I would develop if possible, if the macOS APIs allow this, like give me the right tools to do them, and then I would, yeah, people would be able to just switch them on or off, and hopefully remap keys also because some of the plugins are stealing keys from like default keys from Vim. Um, yeah, that would be, and like people would have to ask what they want. So like a little bit like before I developed Vim motions that I was using, and then a bunch of people during the alpha just like send me a lot of like requests, stuff that I wasn't using myself that I didn't even know about, and then I developed the thing. So it's going to be the same for the plugins. Personally, I don't use any, but I've been asked a couple of times about like the surround plugin, and I think there's another one, but I forgot which one. Uh, that could be. I have the mic bothering me. Minimal Vim surround. I think there might be some other things. Uh, that's the plan. So it's not. It's definitely not over. And then again, like new apps to support new APIs from Apple. macOS 26 is kind of a pain. If you guys have been using KV with macOS 26, is going to crash every night at midnight because Apple is supposed to. I think it happens if you have a laptop and it's sleeping because they're calling some notification that shouldn't that they say that they would not do it when the your computer is like sleeping, and they would only send the notification when he wakes up, but they send it while it's sleeping, so it makes the thing crash. So I have a fix coming for that. uh, but yeah, macOS 26 is painful, so it's still a lot of work to do on this. So there's, yeah, um, KV is still, I'll say, I mean, for sure I'm using it myself, and I'm daily working on it, but there's still a big bunch of work to be done to try to push the limits of what we can do with Vim on macOS. So I think that's about it. Uh, so the plan for this week is to finalize. Oh, I have a bunch of new apps to test also that have been asked lately. So okay, that would be one that I'm gonna add now here. So yeah, there's a bunch of apps that I need to test and add, and uh, and especially for KV, so like to release that carabiner integration. I really wish to do, like, I hope I can do that this week. So, but I need to test it correctly, and I think that would be very helpful for a lot of people. It took some time to get that to like to because I really thought that I would have to do it natively. So once the carabiner integration was discovered, it went quite quick. But I think like custom mapping has been asked for like since the beginning. So it's been 3 years now. Oops. So thanks for those using it, and then when using KV, and then those who unfortunately have been waiting for that. It's coming soon, promise. So thank you, and hopefully see you. No, I want to say see you soon, but it's kind of uh, tricky to do those videos. Probably very slow and like thinking at the same time talking. So not sure it's very enjoyable for you, but thank you. Bye bye.